Want to get back on your diet? My top 4 do's and don'ts. After 19 years being actively involved in health and fitness, 12 years working as a coach, 14 months working specifically on my mindset around food, and I still couldn't stop myself eating when tired and frustrated yesterday. Difficulty with food will not be fixed in days, weeks, months, years, or even decades in my personal experience is anything to go by. There will always be blips and bumps in the road. The biggest issue is often not the slip up, but what happens after that. There's a fork in the road where people will either compound the destructive decisions and continue down a negative path, leading to spiraling habits and weight gains, or they'll respond more positively. The habits won't spiral and they'll get back on track quickly. Do you use going off plan as a chance to learn, or as proof that you really are a failure and destined to never change? It's the same event going off plan, but the way someone experiences it varies wildly depending on how they think. We almost never consciously decide which of these responses we follow. Our responses to this, like most things, are learned in childhood. That doesn't mean they need to continue down the stretch through adulthood until you cark it. You can change this. Like all change, it only happens when you're open to it. And today I'm going to give you the blueprint to follow that separates those who lose fat and keep it off long term from those that don't, which will also help you to get back on track with your healthy eating or diet, as I put in the clickbait title. So number 1 then, don't beat yourself up. What good comes from castigating yourself? If you criticize yourself, you use hurtful names, generally give yourself a hard time, will that actually help you to change your habits and to lose weight? If it did, what kind of person is at the end of a successful fat loss journey fueled by anger and self-criticism? People will often reply that without criticism there is no motivation to change, which sounds like an unhappy, unhealthy way to change to me. In the past, you may have only changed when you were criticized, but that's correlation, not causation. You can choose to change and act differently whenever you see fit. People use these mistakes with food as sticks to beat themselves with, which intrinsically links negative feelings to healthy actions, which isn't a great way to encourage you to keep doing that long term. Healthy habits are built on rewards and positivity, not fear and pain. Which leads us to number 2, do learn from mistakes though. People often link learning from mistakes and beating themselves up as one and the same. But learning from mistakes doesn't have to be a negative experience full of self-criticism. I can look at my eating yesterday and say that that wasn't how I want to deal with feelings of frustration, tiredness, and craving high-calorie food going forward. It's not a bad thing that I did. It doesn't make me a bad person. I don't feel guilt or regret about it. But next time, I'd like to choose to do something differently. I'm reflecting on these decisions and deciding that isn't how I want to act in the future. And as such, number 3, do find solutions. One of the main issues with beating yourself up, drawing a line under it, not dwelling on it, starting again tomorrow, or whatever turn of phrase you like, is you don't take anything positive from that experience. You can always take something good from every experience in life and learn from it going forwards. I can look at my decision yesterday and recognize that I need more food during the day on certain days of the week. I can also recognize I need to take stock when going for high calorie food and ask myself, what am I thinking right now? Why am I wanting to eat this? If I take 60 seconds to write or talk this through, writing is better in a public place, I can recommend, I can then work through what's going on and decide how to act, which is the way I want to approach this going forward. Rather than, number 4, don't react. The majority of human behavior is habitual. If it wasn't, we'd get bogged down spending the day deciding what to do next. Most of your high-calorie intakes are habitual. This doesn't mean that you can read Atomic Habits and change yourself into a fat loss machine though, sadly. But it does mean the more aware you become of how you act, the better you are able to consistently decide how to act rather than responding with your gut reaction, which for many people is eating high-calorie food. This all stems from awareness. And this is why reflecting, talking, journaling, similar activities are so important, because without them, we repeat the same habits over and over again. We have to be able to see how this subconscious process unfolds to be able to change it. We only change when we start to things differently from different perspectives. I ate yesterday because it made perfect sense to me in that moment. My gripe with the clickbait title that I use in this video, which is a necessary evil, I'm afraid, is that it focuses on the things that people need to do or not do, as if you could hop on your left foot, patting your head and rubbing your tummy with your other hand, singing the national anthem, and then everything's going to change. Two people can do the same things physically, Both people could take a deep breath, they could write down their thoughts, they could eat more nutritious food in reaction to cravings or the desire to eat. And one of the two will eat or binge anyway, and the other person won't. So what's the difference between them? The difference is how they think. If one person engages in the process and the other blindly follows the steps but just thinks something else, like this is never going to work or this is a load of rubbish, then who is going to be the one that's successful? You have one person acting positively and thinking in contrast to those actions, and the other person acting and thinking in alignment. We all know it takes changing the way you think to make lasting change. You can follow the steps and lose the weight, but if you want to lose the weight sustainably and long term and bounce back faster and easier after you go off plan, then you have to focus on the mindset you bring to your decisions. If you found this useful, please subscribe to our channel and like this video, share it if you can, and add any comments below. I'd love to hear them.